your blood. By your blood, I'm covered by your blood. Your precious blood, your holy blood.
The Gospel of Luke 24, reading from verse 44. He said to them, "This is what I told you while I was still with you. Everything must be fulfilled that is written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms." Then we go to Acts chapter 2, verse 36. Peter declared, "Therefore, let all Israel be assured of this. God has made this Jesus, whom you crucified, both Lord and Messiah." Welcome, my fellow Christians. Today, we are going to look at the beginning of the Christian church. Luke 24 captures the end of Jesus' stay, the end of the Lord's time on earth. Here in Luke 24, Jesus makes it clear to his disciples that he, the Lord, must fulfill scriptures. This is significant because, as we see on the day of Pentecost, Peter declared that this Jesus, whom you have crucified, God has made Lord and Messiah. Again, as I've mentioned earlier, the word Messiah is a Jewish word meaning the anointed one. It speaks of the deliverer of the Israelites, or the Jewish nation. Jesus was pointing to that very significant time in history when God sends his Son, who fulfills all that is written in the Holy Scriptures. So he's saying to the apostles, all that Moses said, all the prophets said, all the psalmists said, must be fulfilled. And here in Acts chapter 2, Peter started to preach by stating that Jesus fulfilled scriptures. So we are going to discuss the beginning of the Christian church by focusing on Jesus fulfilling scriptures. You see, because if there, by some stretch of the imagination, if there were many, how might the Jews detect the true deliverer from those who are false? The key here is the Messiah, or the deliverer, must fulfill scriptures. In fact, the Jewish people were aware of what the Holy Scriptures say about the deliverer. So the starting point here of the Christian faith is the gathering of a group of believers in Jesus who believe in his death and resurrection. In fact, they witness his death and have seen him after his resurrection. Here in Luke chapter 24, he appeared to them after his resurrection. He appeared to them several times after his resurrection. 40 days he appeared in and among them following his resurrection. And 10 days following the ascension of Jesus, as the scripture says, the disciples were gazing in the sky, looking at Jesus when the angel appeared to them, saying, "Ye men of Galilee, what are you looking at? Why are you looking? Why are you staring? The same Jesus that is taken from you shall return." The start of the church is by and through the witnesses of Christ. Peter stated in Acts chapter 10 that we were chosen to be his witnesses. "You shall be my witnesses," Jesus said. The ones who have been with him from the beginning. In Acts chapter 1, to replace Judas, Peter declared, "We must find one among us, one who has been there with the Lord from the beginning." Hence, there must be 12 witnesses of the life, death, and a resurrection. There must be 12 bearing witness of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Now, there has to be a way to counter and neutralize incorrectness to church doctrine and functionality. The way to neutralize or to intercept false teaching that are imposed, false teaching that are imposed upon the Christian brothers and sisters. There has to be a way to detect these false teaching and to discredit them or refute them from among the brothers and sisters. This we address by calling the church to its beginning. And the beginning of the church is in Acts chapter 2. But we can see the gathering from Acts chapter 1. How did they start? They start by saying that Jesus, whom you have crucified, we have seen him after his resurrection. He is alive. So the beginning of the Christian faith is the testimony of the eyewitnesses of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. The beginning of the Christian church, the beginning of the Christian faith is really the testimony of the eyewitnesses of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. We can have no more authentic verification of the true gospel than with those who have seen the Lord, been with the Lord, and commanded by the Lord. So we are going to go forward by looking at the beginning of the church. And the beginning of the church is the witnessing of Peter and the apostles. This is important because we are talking about authentic Christianity. We are talking about biblical Christianity. And here we are emphasizing the start of the church. The start of the church is the correct basis for understanding church doctrine and theology. And here, the single focus was the life, death, resurrection, ascension of Christ, and the expected return of Christ. So let us proceed by looking at the beginning of the Christian church.